Hello everyone, this is B-Bell Dan and I am here inside my shop where right now it is hot. It is very hot, a little hotter than it should be for this time of year, but I'm not here to talk about that or bring any of that type of stuff up. I am here today because there is something that I want to show you. I know that here on my channel, my puppet making videos have been pretty popular. They're some of my regularly most watched videos and everything like that. Now, the entire channel is about learning to create, trying to master creation, so I don't want to necessarily focus too much on puppet making or anything like that, but there is going to be some of that in there. And puppet making is what this thing that I want to show you has to do with. Okay. Now, I don't know exactly when my fascination of creation really actually gets started. I mean, talking to my mom and some of my siblings, they say that I've always been very fascinated with making things and trying to create things and drawing things and all that kind of stuff. But I do have evidence of one of my first particular thing that I created. So, and that's what I have right here. So, what I want to show you is this guy, this ugly but very interesting thing. So, what this is, if you can't figure it out, well, it is a puppet, but it's not just any puppet. This here is actually the very first puppet that I have ever created, or that I can recall creating outside of anything as silly as just a sock on my hand or something like that. This right here was the first thing that I can vividly recall making here, and what it is a giant rat. Now, to give you an idea of how old this is, without necessarily giving you my, well, I'll give you my age. I am in my 40s, and I think I made this. This thing is about 30 years old. Considering how old it is, and it's been sitting kind of in storage for a while, it's actually not in very bad condition. But let me give you a little bit of a backstory on why I created this, and then I'll tell you how I created it and kind of what's been happening to it and what I want to do from there. A while back ago, I had this idea. I mean, I was getting into homemade movies, and I had this idea of, what if I was on a farm? I lived on a farm, and what if the farm was terrorized by a giant mutated rat? So I think, well, how am I going to make a giant mutated rat? And I figured, well, a puppet is actually going to work. So I started trying to fiddle around, figuring it out, how I could make a puppet, how I could do things. I knew the simple versions of it, but I tried, doing my first handed sewing, and it's, I mean, I don't know, considering how old I was, I think it's a pretty good job, but overall, I'll show you some close-ups there. But so I created this puppet, and this was going to be in the movie. Now, I didn't get to film that movie, but I did get to use this puppet at least on two occasions in my life. One of it was to film a movie that I made for a science project where it was an environmental science project, and we had this entire idea of where a guy was trying to create a chemical that would clean up all the pollution, but instead it ended up messing up the ecosystem, and we end up getting giant sea anemones and tapeworms, and oh, that was a very interesting little effect with a tapeworm bursting out of somebody's stomach, which we actually filmed that. And then giant rat, there was a scene in there where he was, a giant rat got loose because it mutated because he was injecting the rats with with the stuff. And I also used it once in a haunted house to a pretty good effect, but ever since then it was put up. But that's the backstory on it. So it's 30 years old. This is my first attempt at trying to make a puppet. It's very simplistic. It just had moving head and a mouth that opened and closed. Now there was a second puppet, which I unfortunately don't have, that I made. It was just the head, and that was to be used for close-ups and it had a lot of features into it where the eyes would blink and the mouth would snarl and everything. And I think I was more proud of that because considering how I didn't have a lot of experience in making puppets, and at the time I don't even think I knew how anything really worked. So I just did what was the most logical way of making it snarl and making the tongue move and making the eyes blink. And for the most part, it worked. I think I kind of failed with the eye blinks, but the snarl and the tongue movement was actually pretty good. Once again, I don't have that. I wish I would have kept it, but it was just ahead, and I think it got thrown away. But I managed to keep this guy right here. So just take a look at him right there. So how I kind of made him is that he was made out of, the primary base of it is he's made out of a bunch of old socks that I cut and I stitched together. You can see some of the stitching there, and it's very regular. And some other materials. The mouth was cardboard, maybe a little bit of paper mache. I mean, I see evidence of paper mache there. So, yes, I think the inside of the mouth I did paper mache to try to get features inside it. So when it opens up its mouth at the camera, you can see all the insides. The legs is newspaper that has been rolled up very tightly and wrapped with masking tape. This is masking tape, everybody. I'm surprised it's lasted as long as it did. And the tail was, I think, it was just cloth. Once again, wrapped with the same masking tape. Now, the body, unfortunately, has deflated because I think what I used for the body was it was an old milk carton, and after 30 years the plastic has deteriorated and has kind of collapsed on itself, so it doesn't necessarily but other than that, I mean, I'm actually very surprised considering the masking tape is held up. It's probably aged a little bit. I mean, as far as discolored just a little bit, but I think that was almost the same color that I painted the legs. I'd have to go back and look. Considering its age and how just, I think it held up pretty good. So this is, like I said, this was my first chance at trying to sew anything together. I don't remember. I think one of my sisters showed me how to sew, and I just went from there and just continued to sew things. So that wasn't too bad of a job. Said the mechanism was very simplistic. In fact, if I probably put my hand in here, let's see if I can do this. Oops. Oh yeah, it still works. Look at that. I'm hearing some things kind of crunching in there, so I don't want to mess it up too much. But yeah, it still works. I'm able to move the head. I was moving the body all around, and I did film a couple of scenes, but I think they're more test sequences of it skirling around. I think it just skirled around. I wore black so you couldn't see it because it was filmed usually in dark light and stuff. But yeah, I wanted to show y'all this just to, so you can kind of see. And this goes, I mean, you can see kind of what I started and where I'm at right now. And, and hopefully that might inspire some of y'all to think, well, if I could start with something like this and eventually get to making the puppets that I'm making right now, y'all can do it. It just takes a bit of practice, and it just takes a little bit of learning. It takes but determination, because I think I was really determined. I might have messed up a few times on this before I finally got it fixed. But yeah, I just wanted to share this with you, and thought that you might probably find it interesting. Let me know what y'all probably think about it. Let me know what y'all think I ought to do with this. I've thought about, should I remake this? I mean, not mess with this, but remake it and see what it would look like now with my current skill set, how much better this would turn out. Should I try to do anything about not necessarily improving this, but restoring it. Maybe such as redo the body, the interior body, to give it more of a body. Not maybe milk can, but maybe some bunting or something like that, which is probably what I would use today. Maybe retape the legs or something. I mean, I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all would like to see me do with this, if anything at all. But yeah, said that was it. And in case you're wondering, he didn't have a name. I don't think I ever came up with a name for him. But yeah, there he goes. So let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all liked it. He's missing a couple of whiskers on his side, but I can't remember what type of glue I used on that. I know that's fishing twine there, and that worked out very well. But yeah, there you go. And I might actually have a couple of other videos if you like kind of seeing some of this stuff, like some of my early beginnings at creating things. Stay tuned, because I've kind of cleared out a old closet that I had, and inside that was a bunch of old stuff, and that's where this guy came from, and I think I found some other stuff, so I might show y'all some of that. Not all of it is with puppet. In fact, there's an old mask that I made, which I thought was very interesting. It was a very unique way of making the mask, but let me know if y'all like to see that. So this is B-Belt Dan. Thank you for being here and taking a look at this giant monstrosity of a puppet that was my very first puppet creation. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.